It's another goddamn Chill Spot podcast episode.
What's up, y'all?
I know that you maybe thought that, like, we'd make another episode, and you were right.
And you
here
were right
we
about
are.
that. I'm right here, baby. I'm right here for you.
We're doing this, like, low voice thing for the whole episode?
I'm, like, really comfortable down here.
Yeah?
It's, like, really relaxed.
A little bit deeper, you'd be like that Twitch streamer Corpse Husband that everybody likes. You know Corpse Husband?
Oh, my God. Like, this is my best corpse. All I know is that his voice is really dark.
I know. I don't watch the guy, but he's something. He's like, yeah. What's up? Yeah, welcome back to the Among Us streams.
Yeah,
like he's like really low. He's really. A couple of people on our Discord love his music, and I've listened to it. I decided to give it a listen because who doesn't like listening to new music?
Yeah,
and
actually. But finish your thought.
Not my bag.
No, I'm serious. Like, finish your thought, and then I'll extrapolate.
Oh, that's it. Really, is that like I respect Corpse Husband's music. I certainly get the appeal, but it's definitely not for me.
I am so trash at listening to music that people recommend to me. I am the worst friend when it comes to this specific aspect of friendship. Like, if you are like, hey, Sam, I really think that you would like this artist. They're exactly like all of the artists that I know that you like and listen to for 7 months nonstop. Absolutely. Here you go. And I curated them specifically for you, and I am suggesting them as a offer of friendship, cause as a way of showing that I know you really well, and I'm showing my love for you through recommending this artist. And I'm like, cool, thank you so much. I will text you literally 2 years later. I have literally done this before and been like, do you remember like when you recommended Pup to me like 2 years ago? So good.
So I was playing this game called Dream Daddy, and it was in that game.
That's literally what happened.
So Cameron. I listened to it.
That's literally what happened. All of my friends were super into Pup like years ago.
Yeah.
And then I listened to them for the first time, I think last year.
Probably, yeah. When
and
we
I
were
was
doing
like,
the series.
yup, makes sense. Makes sense why you're all into this. Because of course you are.
Because it's good.
It's up all of our alleys. We all
music,
had pop punk phases. Like, of course I like them.
Did you really have a pop punk phase, or are you just into pop punk?
I'm just into pop punk.
Yeah,
but
come
like,
on.
Holy shit, man. Like, god damn it. I just listen to the music people recommend you. But I love my ruts.
Yeah.
I love listening to the same songs. Like, when people say, oh, listen to the same songs for the next 4 months, I will listen to the same songs. There are songs from my 2018 Spotify playlist that made it onto my 2020 Spotify playlist. Like, it is absurd.
Yeah, sure.
How much I love being in a musical rut.
You like your comfort. Yeah, everyone has comfort songs. And you just like your comfort.
Just like, I will get out of it. I trust that your recommendation is good, and I will get out of my rut in due time. But, man, I am so sorry.
Oh man, yeah.
I am so sorry. I will not be taking your recommendation at this time.
Well, it's funny because, back in university, I was listening to a ton of new music. Like, every week, like, new album that I would jam to. And, like, it was such a great part of my life during that time of my life. And then moving back to, and I've said this before, I'll keep it short, but, like, I kind of fell out of that when I came back here to Chateau Chill Spot. And recently, I've been trying to take the effort to actually listen to more music. Yeah. And, like, it sort of rekindled that back in me. Because, okay, this is how stupid I am. I realized things about myself in this pandemic like anyone else.
We all did, yeah.
I'm a far more anxious person than I ever gave myself credit for. One of those things where my anxiety spikes is that, like, I'll listen to something that makes me think of a certain thing and make me really happy. But then after enough listens, I'll get embarrassed about how often I listen to it.
Right.
And it taints it. And, like, I'll come back around to it eventually. But that is a sign that I need to listen to new music.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm unhappy with the fact that I'm not listening to new music.
Yeah.
And listening to new music has made me happier. So, I mean, yeah. You gotta kick the things that make you sad and do the things that make you happy.
Yeah.
What a fucking concept.
But that's the thing, is that I'm not sad when I'm in my musical ruts.
No, of course not.
It's more like a groove than a rut.
Right.
It's more like a good vein.
Because a rut is a negative thing. So groove is a better word.
Yeah.
You're
I'm
comfortable.
just like, I'm comfortable. I'm happy. I'm content listening to the same RuPaul song for years and years and years and years and years. And that's just the way it's gonna go, buddy.
You're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
I'm the way I am, and you're the way you are, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying, like, never, if you're, like, a friend of mine, you're listening to this, like, don't never recommend good music to me.
Yeah.
Like, I always appreciate that something outside of our conversations makes you think of me. That's what I love.
Of course.
But as far as, like, coming back to me and being like, so did you listen to this thing? No, I didn't.
Yeah, I'm that way with TV shows.
Yeah,
I'm really bad at TV shows.
You
because
are.
I'm not attracted to live action TV shows at all. Like it's really not.
Yeah.
Like it's funny. I've had so many people, yourself included, tell me to watch shows that I would like, and I believe you. Like every time I do watch a show a friend recommends to me, I do
always
like
right.
it.
I have always been right.
Yeah.
I was right about Curb. I was right about Insecure. I was right about
Broad City.
I was right about Broad City.
Mm-hmm.
When I force you to sit down and watch them, you like them.
I know, and I recognize that about myself. But when I watch TV alone, I never gravitate to live action. And I've been that way my whole life, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I was a kid, most people grow out of, or like to think they grow out of cartoons and animation. I just found animation for my age demographic, and now I just watch it all the time.
Not even really, though.
Not all the time.
Not all the time, yeah. Because you watched all of Gravity Falls, and that's technically not for adults.
Yeah, it's because Gravity Falls. What I like, okay, so not to get into it, but like what I think is interesting about shows like Gravity Falls, Steven Universe, blah blah blah, is that like they are for a younger audience, but so much of the content and lessons are stuff that can be applied to people of all ages, and I think that's fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you like shows that walk that line,
Totally,
like your Adventure Times and your Steven Universes.
Well, because isn't something really fascinating to think about the idea that you can write about something that has really adult themes, but can't lean on the things that make things adult.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you can't swear, you can't have violence, you can't have all these things, but you still achieve the same effect and the same themes.
Yeah.
I just think that's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like we're talking about a couple of episodes ago, talking about comedians.
Yeah.
Comedians who work clean. Same idea.
Yeah.
Like it's a hurdle, and when you do it right, it's like, damn.
It's so good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't even miss the lack of swearing or violence or
Not
sexuality.
At all. The writing makes up for it.
You don't miss it at all.
No.
It's just relatable.
You said the whole trick right there, Sam.
Yeah.
That's where it is.
Yeah. True.
But yeah, I'm bad about watching TV. But you were talking about RuPaul. Mm-hmm. And RuPaul is the host of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Ooh, get that 6 degrees of connectivity going down.
If you somehow haven't heard of it. You like that smooth transition?
Oh,
like
man, buttery.
Yeah, right? Yeah. It's great that we're talking about the transition. Anyway, today's episode of the Soul Spot Podcast is going to be focused on reality TV.
It's like lumpy mashed potatoes are transitions.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, I can swallow this. It's not the best experience, but I could swallow this.
Well, you know, that's the Chill Spot experience. Watching a Twitch, like, this isn't the best Twitch stream that I've ever seen, but I'll watch it. This podcast is pretty good, but, you know, there's better podcasts. Like the Haven't Seen It podcast. They're way better than us.
Oh, my God. But yeah, no, I thought we would talk about reality TV shows because it's something that we've gotten into recently. And I found that I have like very strong opinions.
Of course.
Because like we spent a lot of our theater degree talking about like what is a performance, you know?
Yes.
And reality TV. And then like, here's a question. I know you have your questions right there, but like, here's a question. Do you think reality TV ever purposely tried to sell us like real life?
Never.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit.
See, I wonder about that sometimes. I would love, if Truth Serum were real, one of the people I would use it on is like some of those first producers of some of the earliest reality TV shows, like The Real World.
Yeah. And
like make them take it and be like, were you interested in videotaping people living their actual lives? Mm-hmm. Or were you just trying to tell a story under the guise of reality TV?
I think the latter, personally, because
I think so too.
Real life and naturalism wouldn't lend itself to good TV.
Yeah,
like that's the simple fact.
No, like if you were to videotape our lives for 48 hours at like straight through, you would get nothing. You would probably get like 30 minutes of good content, which is like when we come together at the table and eat dinner and like have a conversation about like the number of COVID cases and we rant about how shittily Doug Ford is handling the vaccine rollout.
For the 200th day.
For the 200th day. Yeah, you would get one episode out of it and it was a montage of all the different ways we complained about Doug Ford handling the vaccine rollout. Like,
Doug!
It's not interesting.
No.
And I think that the makers of reality TV, the participants of reality TV, at least the ones nowadays who like know that they're on a reality TV show.
Right.
Know that. And, you know, whether consciously or subconsciously, and I think there's debate about this, about how consciously people do it, agree to tell a story, but like put the spin on it as like, I'm just a regular person like you or I, like you could do this too if I were, you know, if you were under the same pressures that I was, you know? Yeah, I just think that's really, really interesting. Like interesting. Reality TV as a performance.
Yeah.
Because you're told that it's real. You're told that like maybe the situations are manufactured, you know, like Hell's Kitchen, you take a bunch of chefs and you you put them under the pressure cooker of working under one of the most difficult head chefs to work under in the industry, or you take a bunch of professional drag queens and you give them a bunch of like heightened challenges to test their skill in their profession. Or I'm trying to think of TV shows that we don't necessarily watch.
Like Big Brother?
Like Big Brother, you know, you put a bunch of people in a house and you make them do a bunch of like non-sequential challenges, and then, you know, record them going home after it all and like see the fallout of their performance in said challenges, and then have people like vote them out of the house. Or like Survivor, take away the comforts of home and see how people react. Sure. You know, and kind of put them in that pressure cooker. Yeah. It's all about putting people in a pressure cooker and seeing what behaviors come out of it. Yeah. And I think it's under the guise of like we'll throw them in this situation and we'll just see what happens. And that's the reality aspect of it.
It's never that way.
But it's never that way because you're not going to watch a bunch of people just like fighting incessantly for, you know, 13, 14 episodes. That's insufferable.
Yeah. I mean, to tack onto your point. So
you have to find a story and curate it.
Okay, yeah.
Like producers of reality TV shows, maybe in the beginning, you know, at the beginning of the show, it's kind of, you know, like the first episodes of most reality shows, and we've watched a handful of them now, are kind of a clusterfuck while the personalities sort of like shine through. But then towards the end of it, like, you're like, oh, of course Jessica would pull that shit because she's just like this. Get her out of here. She's never going to change. Because she's like this, that, and the other thing. Whereas like at the beginning, it's like, we don't know what everybody's capable of. You have to let the personality shine through over the course of a couple of episodes, and then the producers start like being like, okay, I can see a through line here. So like Jessica do this, Michael do this, you know? Like,
well, yeah, because think about how much of a reality TV show when filmed, like if they do what they do, which it's true, like especially in terms of reality competition, it's like if you're on set for 8 hours, they're going to film you and mic you for that entire 8 hours.
Yeah.
And then if you do that over the course of 4 weeks, that's 4 weeks, 8 hours a day of footage that they are going to turn into a TV show.
Distill down, yeah.
And it's not about being real.
Yeah.
It's about making a good TV show.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I used the word at the start of this conversation, I used naturalism, which naturalism is boring.
Yeah.
There was a professor of ours at University of Waterloo who said you need to be careful with that word. Because if reality shows were naturalistic, you'd show people taking shits and eating and jacking off and like, you know, like going to the store to get groceries, like filling up gas in their tank. Like, it's like boring shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's what naturalism
That's
is.
what we do every day.
Yeah.
That's what we do. That's what you listening to this at home, that's what you do every day. And it's not worth filming. It's not worth watching.
It wouldn't make a good TV show.
Sure, it's quote unquote real.
Yeah.
But is it entertaining? Absolutely not.
Yeah, and then I think what happens is like, okay, so I mean, I was gonna go down the list, but you sort of brought it up, so we'll answer this one first. As someone who makes stuff, like, what's your opinion on how reality TV shows are made? Like, especially when it comes to like talking specifically about like producer manipulation and like pushing certain storylines.
I think it's so iffy. You say like, fuck, okay. Because let me try and organize my thoughts here. At the beginning, I definitely thought, like before we started watching reality shows together, I definitely thought that reality TV was cheap. And like kind of just like shitty and, you know, trash TV.
Yeah,
you know,
popcorn TV.
Your mom always says like, I need something at the end of the day that I can just like turn my brain off and just sort of like mindlessly watch.
Yeah.
Which is pretty antithetical to. I don't want to turn my brain off. I just want to steer my brain in a different direction when I turn on the TV. I don't want to just like, you know, like unfocus my eyes and just like let the sounds wash over me. I do care about the story that someone has written and is telling me. Right. You know, whenever I think about TV, I imagine like sitting down for story time at school. Yeah. You know, like when you sat down for story time at school, you would like, you know, like you cross your legs and like put your hands under your chin and like listen to the teacher tell the story and get engrossed. And that's how I view watching television. And I thought that reality TV was sort of the antithesis of all of that, where it's like you just watch, you know, the kids from Jersey Shore be assholes for 30 minutes and then call it a day. But as I started watching stuff with you, and I should say, like, we watch reality competition shows.
We're in a reality competition.
We don't really do, like, the Real Worlds, the Jersey Shores, the Love Islands,
I don't think we'll
the
ever really get into
Bachelors,
that.
and all of that stuff. We don't really... Anything that has to do with, like, real life and people's relationships, we don't really watch.
No, not really.
It has to do with, like, a skill that somebody has, like drag or baking, like Real Canadian Baking Show, or Hell's Kitchen with cooking. You know, a skill that somebody has and wants to, like, hone in on. I would much rather watch that. But I definitely think that reality TV is a valid form of storytelling. I just don't know if I always agree with it, because I think that the people who sign up to do it do still believe. Like, if you are mad enough to sign up to be on a reality TV show, you believe that you are going to be the person that you are off camera, that you've been before you had a camera put in front of your face, on camera, and that is going to be accurately portrayed. And that sort of gets warped.
That's a lie, is what you're telling yourself, actually.
As you go through the process of being on a reality TV show, and you're dealing with like producers and, you know, being on set and, you know, production schedules and stuff like that. If you've never dealt with it before, then you're gonna get blindsided by it all. And aspects of your personality are gonna show that just you never thought are going to get pulled out of you before. And like we've said this before, putting a microphone in front of your face does something to you. When we started doing this podcast, you know, we were like, it's just going to be us, like goofing and gaffing. But for some unknown thing, like unknown force comes over you when a microphone is in front of your face, or a camera, or both, and you act a little differently. You just do, you know? And I don't think that the people who sign up for reality TV shows are necessarily prepared for that. And it's a little predatory in a lot of cases, I feel.
I'd argue that it depends on the show. I mean,
yeah,
it depends on how long running the show is, right? Like, I think of something like Big Brother or like Drag Race or Hell's Kitchen. But there's been like fucking 10 plus seasons of all these shows. You know the score.
All of those shows that you just mentioned have more than a decade of production under their belt.
You know the score.
Yeah.
Like, if you're surprised that this reality TV show wants you to not just be yourself, then I think you're a little naive at that point.
Yeah.
Unless like this was promised or something, but, like, I mean, some brand new fangled.
People still pull that shit, you know? People will act horribly on a reality TV show and then be like, I was filmed, you know, or I was edited inconsistently with who I really am, blah, blah, blah.
The infamous villain edit from Drag Race.
Yeah, from reality TV. I mean, Survivor does that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, at the same time, you know, I was watching this YouTube video the other day about dissecting the season 14 contracts for Drag Race.
Oh, interesting.
Because they're available. You can just like download it and read it.
I guess, yeah, because you can audition for them now.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can just get it.
Or it was leaked. I don't know. So, but regardless, this YouTuber got their hands on it. And they were reading it out. And there's a lot of stuff like World of Wonder, the people who make Drag Race. They really take a lot. And they cover their butts. Yeah. And you are consenting to a lot of things. It's like a 50-page contract. Did you know in season 8 they didn't feed the queens, they had to buy their own food?
Oh, that's trash.
But they took it out. Since season 14 at least, they're gonna feed the queens, thank God. But regardless, you are signing a lot of your creative freedom away, but under the pretense that World of Wonder actually becomes your management if you go on Drag Race. Yeah. So if you spin it correctly and you play the game, like, you become a Trixie Mattel, you become a Bob the Drag Queen. Yep. But if things don't go so well, you're basically signing away the next 4 years of your life to do no drag appearances. Yeah. At all. Yeah. Like, and this is grossly oversimplified. And I mean, you should all look up, there's tons of videos, just watch it if you're interested. But that's the kind of thing you gotta prepare yourself for. And a part of that contract is understanding that you're gonna be a part of this show, and then what you say, regardless of what you meant, may or may not be used in a way that you might not agree with.
Appreciate, yeah.
And like, I know that's kind of a bummer, but that's literally in the contract.
Yeah.
Read it. And if you disagree, don't go on the show.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry.
But honestly, like, I feel like, you know, this is like the toxic relationship between reality TV show producers, like the people who make these shows, not just like producers, because producers obviously one role on a show, and there's a lot of people who tell these contestants this, but like the people who make these shows and the people who sign up for them, like there's this toxic relationship between them where I feel like the producers need quote unquote everyday people to make these shows. That's the appeal, is that average Joes like you and me, or if you're a part of an industry that relates to a competition show, like a cooking show or a baking show, or the entertainment industry like you and I, because we relate to a lot of entertainment industry stuff when it comes to drag performers.
Right.
They complain about like gigs and, you know, supporting yourself and family concerns and blah, blah, blah. But if you take people who aren't used to performing in their industry at the level of which these shows put them at, you don't understand what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
You know, and it's almost predatory the way that these studios, whether consciously or unconsciously, kind of bet on you not knowing that, because it's going to create drama. It's going to create good television. If somebody, you know, doesn't know any better, doesn't know how to protect themselves, doesn't know how to act, doesn't know how to spin the reality show game, and can't make it work for themselves.
Again, like...
It's kind of gross.
I agree that it has predatory aspects.
Yeah.
But I think it's a little, like, you understand that everything that happens on a reality TV show, in terms of the way you're treated, the way that things go, is all outlined in the contract you sign. They're not going to blindside you.
Yeah.
They're going to tell you flat out what they're going to do to you.
But a lot of people don't know how to read a contract. That's a skill. That's a literacy thing, you know? And I think that some studios, and I'm not shouting out any like reality show maker in particular. I don't know. But, you know, just the way that the entertainment industry works, like somebody somewhere has betted on the fact that somebody doesn't know how to sign or doesn't know how to read a contract before they sign it.
Everything.
And has preyed on that. It has happened.
That's why contracts are so long.
Yeah.
That's literally like, it's a tactic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They make them so long so that you get tired and you just go, oh, it's probably fine, sign it. You know? And then it's like, hey, like your cameraman like stuck his camera up my skirt.
Right.
And while I was getting changed in the workroom, and they're like, "Will you sign the contract?" And you're like, "That can't be in the contract." And then there's some like loop-de-loop round the way language that you actually did agree to, like any angle of yourself. Sure. Is allowed, you know? Like it's messed up. Yeah. So that part of reality, that's like the dark side of reality TV though. It's tough, but definitely like the whole like real world people doing real world things that are relatable that makes us all feel a little bit more human. Like there are those moments, and those moments are so great when they happen.
So that's what I think is kind of weird though. Like I'm not gonna lie, like based on the shows that we watch, like I feel like, especially Drag Race in particular, like Drag Race is about like the creme de la creme. Like it's about like the best in the industry, quote unquote, coming,
that's
right?
True.
So like that's how it gets away with its more harsher interpretations of what the show is about. Yeah. Because it's understanding that you made it here. And you deserve to be here. And we're only watched the first season of Hell's Kitchen, but Hell's Kitchen is very much the same way. Yeah. Where it's like, it's not average Joes, it's exceptional people.
Sometimes average Joes though.
But you have a character like you have a person like Elsie from the first season of Hell's Kitchen.
Literally who I was thinking of.
Like who is like a mother of 6, but she considers herself to be like a cut above in terms of how she cooks, right? Or else she wouldn't go on the show. True. If you thought you were an average cook, why would you go on a cooking reality TV show? That doesn't make any sense. Right. It's the same thing with the Great Canadian Baking Show. So that's where it's like...
Yeah, because Canadian Baking Show, they're amateur bakers. But that's like a level. You know, you can be like an amateur actor, but you're better than like a community theater actor.
Well, it's just about to say, amateur doesn't mean you're not a professional. It just means you're an amateur.
It just means you don't get paid for what you do.
Exactly. Yeah, you can still be good at it. Yeah. So it's like I think that's where it kind of gets blurred, right? Because your whole point is that like the average person being manipulated by these reality TV shows is ultimately predatory, and I don't disagree with that. But my point is that like I understand that literacy, it could be an issue with the contracts and stuff like that, but like so much of these shows are asking you, who is considers themselves to be an extraordinary, interesting person. You're not going to put a boring person on a reality TV show. Right. So if you make it on a reality TV show, you're an extraordinary person. And I mean that in the definition of the word, right? You are being especially if this is a long-running show, you're being subjected to the same thing that these producers have been subjecting people for years now. Yeah. And like, I understand if you were upset about your portrayal, especially if your words were taken out of context, like that's fucked up. Yeah. But sucks. To turn around and be like, it wasn't what I expected. It's like, how? Like, how? Yeah. That doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah. Like, I understand, yes, not everyone can read a contract and understand literally everything, and not everyone has access to things like legalese who can help them read a contract and understand it. But it is all in there, you know? It's no different than like if you read the fucking terms and agreements of like Facebook. Like, they tell you that they're going to listen to you constantly and sell your information to people, but it's a 200-page document. Yeah. No one's going to fucking read that. Yeah. So, yeah, I see your point, but I also think that like it's not like you can't just like throw it to the producers and be like, it's bad. Bad. Like it's a two-way street is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, that's why I say it's a toxic relationship. Because it's like you have the person not knowing and then you have like the producers telling you, but also like it's confusing, but also like they do tell you, but it's confusing. You know, it's this like toxic back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
What's your favorite reality TV show, Sam?
RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yeah. I'd probably say that too. It's the first one, the second one we got into.
Yeah. And I made the distinction earlier. You and I prefer competition reality shows where it's not so much about a person's life.
No.
Because I don't need to know that.
Also, I don't give a shit.
I don't care.
I do not care.
Like even back in the day, like I remember like when we were in high school, Jersey Shore was huge.
I watched Jersey Shore when I was in high school.
Huge. I never watched Jersey Shore, but so many people in my school did. And I never understood it. It's like, and they're like, oh, well, it's just stupid. They're just stupid. And then I would watch an episode, and I've said this before, I am not comfortable with fights and fighting. And they're like, oh, they're so stupid. And then I would like watch Ronnie take on Mike the Situation, and he's like calling him the worst names, and like they're saying the worst things to each other, and they actually have like anger in their eyes.
It's
and
real,
someone's like, this part was so funny. Oh my God, they're so stupid. And I'm like, do you not see the real anger in these people's eyes?
Yeah.
I don't think we should be seeing this.
Right.
I think this should really happen behind closed doors. So I would really rather watch somebody who has a skill that is being tested.
Professionals being professional.
You know, than like watch somebody fight with somebody else.
Watch a bunch of dumb Italian kids fight each other on the Jersey. Like I'm fine.
I'm really okay.
Actually, you know what? On that note, though, like my favorite show is also Drag Race, for the same reasons you said. Like I appreciate professionalism.
Yeah.
And who doesn't love artists giving them the full creative freedom to do what artists do?
Yeah.
Right? Like especially as a couple of artists.
Yeah, giving them an assignment and see how they interpret it.
But did you know that Jersey Shore is considered like a TV phenomenon?
Yeah.
Like it's like insane how popular Jersey Shore is.
Like it shouldn't have worked, but it really did.
Yeah, and it did.
Yeah.
Like it attracted people because they were like, look at this particular kind of person. Like the Guido.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? Like Guidos have been a thing for years and years and years and years. Ronnie from Jersey Shore is probably like a third generation Guido.
Sure, yeah, exactly. Yeah, the like, roots run deep.
Like they're a type of person in a subculture that has existed for years, and then Jersey Shore took that and brought it to, like explained it to people and brought it to the mainstream. And then people were able to say, look at this type of person. It's what I'm trying to do now with biracial kids in my play.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
You want to create the biracial Jersey Shore.
You want to create the biracial Jersey Shore.
Yeah, exactly.
So I understand the phenomenon, you know? Like no one knew what a Guido or Guidette was before Jersey Shore, and that brought it to us. But I'm just not interested.
That's fair.
They can exist, and that's fine. And they can have that, and you can do your boardwalk club thing, you know? Fucking like Queer Eye made over a Guido in like their last season or whatever. Like it happened. He didn't identify as a Guido, but I was like,
he's a fucking Guido.
You're a DJ, you live in Jersey, your mom cooks for you, you live in a house, you work construction as your day job, like you wear muscle shirts with broad like bombastic slogans on them. You're a fucking Guido. Like maybe you don't GTL, but like you're a fucking Guido.
He's probably GTL at least once in his life, I think.
At least once.
You know,
he's probably over it now, but I think that those shows, that's really what they're meant to do. Like The Real World was about college age kids and exposing like their lives and what they do as they like, you know, go through like working and relationships and friendships and all that jazz. But I'm just not interested. I'm simply not interested. Well, I never have been.
That sort of answers the next question, which is going to be like, well, what is your opinion of reality living shows versus reality dating shows versus reality competition? Like we mentioned that our favorite show is RuPaul's Drag Race for the competition aspect because we love getting invested in queens, shit talking crappy queens because every season has these queens we call burner bitches. Which are literally queens who exist to pad the season.
It's like you got casted so that the first couple of eliminations didn't hurt so bad.
Yeah. But I think that's ridiculous. Like, in terms of reality competition, I think what makes shows like RuPaul's Drag Race and I guess Hell's Kitchen to a lesser extent really appealing is the idea that like these are all qualified people who then get cut for one reason or another.
I mean, for what it's worth, even the most basic drag queen can do drag at a level that I cannot rise to.
Look at James Mansfield.
Listen, like I can't do drag.
No.
Like Well, I'm not saying I can't. I'd be very fascinated to try it if I ever wanted to do some like blog TO spot where like Sam does drag for a day, you know, like I would do something like that. But drag is fucking hard.
Yeah.
And even the worst, like the worst drag queen of every season is significantly better at drag than I am.
Of course.
You know?
Yeah, but at the same time, like, wouldn't you like season 12 of RuPaul's Drag Race is a favorite for those who don't know at home. And the reason why season 12 is so great is because every single queen was so strong.
Yeah.
And every single elimination was heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
Because no one deserved to go home.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's seasons of RuPaul's Drag Race, but in like other reality TV competition shows as well, where you're like, you look at someone, you're like, you're here for an episode, you're here for episode 2,
yeah,
you're for episode, then you're gonna go home.
There's those Mimi firsts.
Yeah, like, but how many times, like, we're almost at the end of Hell's Kitchen, season 1, we haven't finished it yet.
Yeah,
but
finale is tonight.
Tonight is happening after this.
Yeah.
But you could see the final 2 from the first episode.
Yeah.
Like, it was evident from the first episode.
Like literally 2 of them.
And it's boring.
Like,
I like the show because I'm interested in, I just love Gordon Ramsay being an asshole.
And you know, like, every cast for every season is different.
Yeah.
So I'd be interested to see how later casts are formed, especially once the show kind of like gets its...
Yeah.
Finds its groove.
But talking about like Drag Race, I think about like Drag Race has a spin-off called Drag Race UK. Drag Race UK 1, while being a fine season, was ultimately kind of boring because you knew the top 3 from episode 1.
Clear from the jump.
And none of those queens ever went in the bottom. They all rode the top wave right to the final episode, and then the best of the 3 won the series. And it's like, cool.
Some seasons just be like that, though.
I don't hate it, but it is kind of like disappointing. Because like everyone roots for an underdog, right?
I was gonna say you kind of hope an underdog will kind of like come through and black horse everybody.
As opposed the fucking first person, like the person in first place, staying in first place, and then winning.
Yeah,
like,
the entire time.
Oh, I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Patriots. Like, it's just like...
Look at you, Tom Brady.
Yeah, fuck you, Tom. You didn't even play for the Patriots anymore.
That's true.
But, like, in terms of, like, I answer another question we wrote down here of, like, the dumbest reality TV show, I think are reality dating shows.
Yeah.
Like Shot of Love, fucking...
Shot of Love. Oh, my God. There's that one. I say that I don't watch, like, lifestyle reality TV shows, but that one got to me. I watched Shot of Love back in the day.
Did you watch, like... did you watch just the Tequila seasons, or did you watch the third season when they switched it up?
No, I don't remember a season where they switched it up.
So
Who did they switch it up with?
So here's the thing, right? First 2 seasons of Shot of Love featured Tequila trying to find her true love.
Yes.
The third season, I don't remember their names, featured a set of twins, identical twins, trying to find love. But the whole thing of the thing is that, like, they would fuck with the contestants. And it's like, are you talking to Casey or are you talking to Stacy? You know, like, it's all just like...
Casey and Stacy.
I don't fucking know if that was their names, but like...
that would be so good if it was.
Probably, you know, but the whole idea is, I'm certainly, I think that's what it was. I have memories of that.
Amazing.
Yeah. Shot of Love, man.
That's messed up.
A little bit.
But no, I watched the Tequila seasons, and that was... That got me for a while. I don't know why. Maybe it was the bite. That was like my first exposure, like mainstream exposure to like bisexuality on TV.
Right.
Where it's like, no, like she is dating and kissing boys and she is dating and kissing girls. It's not like bisexual kisses a girl once and then winds up with a guy ultimately. Because that's what a lot of bisexuality on TV is like shown as. It's like she kisses a girl one time, but she ultimately ends up with a guy.
Right.
Or vice versa. If it's a guy, he ultimately ends up with a girl. It's like, no, like she is falling in love, air quotes again, with these girls and falling in love, air quotes, with these guys.
Right.
And having a hard time choosing because she genuinely, air quotes, is developing feelings, air quotes, for them.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
Yeah, but you in all of those air quotes explains the fucking issue that I take with these reality dating shows.
Yeah.
Is that like it has to be like less than 2% of the people who get together on reality dating shows stay together.
Oh, Bachelor has a notoriously high fail rate.
Then what's the point? Like, I don't get it. Like, okay, I guess the point is that you go on a reality TV show to hopefully start a career where it's like you are an interesting enough person. Because like there's people who like go on multiple reality shows. There's people who go on multiple reality competition shows.
Yeah.
There's people who take their personalities on a reality show and turn it into other TV shows.
Yep. Shout out to Tiffany New York Pollard.
Who's that?
From Flavor of Love. She's listen, you've seen New York before. She is gift to the high heavens. She's that gif, you know, that black woman sitting on a bed, like,
oh, sure,
outstretched, and she's just like,
with the sunglasses on.
Yeah, that's New York. The Beyonce. I'm sorry, honey, that if your friend told you that you look like Beyonce, she's that one.
Okay. What does she do now though? Like, I get it. Like, what does she do?
She's a personality. Now? She was a guest host on, or she was a guest judge on Drag Race once.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I must have missed that.
She's just a reality TV show personality. She's like a host. I think if you Google her, it shows up like she's a TV personality. Mm-hmm. That's all she is.
They book her for when they need her on TV.
She's like written a book.
They get her for TV. Oh, who hasn't?
Yeah.
Yeah, my book's coming out soon. You know?
What's your book called?
My book would be called, I've had so many book titles over the course of my life. Mm-hmm. My book is called What Is Wrong With You?
And the cover is just you like holding out your hands like this, like you're holding two melons, just like.
No, it's me eating a chocolate cake like a slice of pizza, but then dropping the chocolate cake. Like I'm like dead-eyed, like looking off to the corner, like mouth covered in chocolate, like going to take a bite, but the cake is very visibly like not in my hand anymore. Yeah.
Like you haven't realized the cake is out of your hand yet.
Dried tears on my cheeks, you know? That'd be the cover of my book.
What is wrong with you? Memoirs of an up-and-coming actor. But yeah, no. New York TV personalities. Yeah, there are people who just traipse from reality show to reality show. That I don't understand.
No?
No. It's like, get a job.
Come on. Give these people the break.
Like seriously, you've had so much time on TV sets. Like, get behind the camera, pick up a skill. You
don't consider what they do to be a skill?
If you write a TV personality who just bounces from reality show to reality show,
you don't think it takes a little bit of something to like show up and do well?
It's a skill. It is not a skill I respect.
Okay,
How about that?
Sure, if you want to fucking wear that with your chest.
You know, get a fucking job.
Wow.
And a lot of people, like the people who are fans of reality shows, love to say, well, you couldn't do what they do. No, I couldn't, because I don't want to. Okay? It's like plumbing. No, I can't do what they do. And I also don't want to. Mm-hmm. I don't want to learn. Actually, I respect plumbers. That's not a good example.
I'm going to say, like, okay, boomer, what the fuck is your problem?
That's not a good example. That wasn't a good example. I just don't want to learn, you know? I don't want to do what they do.
My brain is full and I don't want to learn.
No, my brain is not filled. I just know that that's not something I want to fill my brain with. It's being a TV personality, and that's it. You know?
Sure, whatever.
Like you can be a host. There are reality stars who have shifted to being TV hosts, and they'll host like red carpets and daytime talk shows and YouTube channels, and that's respectable. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I even respect influencers more. Because honestly, like being a good influencer is fucking hard.
Sure.
I have friends who are influencers with small followings, and they work really hard.
Oh yeah.
They work longer hours than we do.
Posting every day, finding new outfits or things to try out and promote, and no doubt costed money.
We're like working with and managing a bunch of different clients whose like deals you have to promote and stuff like that. It's hard ass work. Mm-hmm. If you're just a personality, if you're just known for being outrageous, and you just bump from reality show to reality show, like being outrageous, like I don't care, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
You know? Great, you stir things up. Congratulations.
I feel like we talked about at the start of this podcast about how reality is a performance.
Yeah.
Like, I guess what I'm like.
I don't have to like it though.
Okay, then that answers my question. Yeah. I'll just shut the fuck up.
No, that's I was my opinion on it. Feel free to, I will shut up. You go off.
I was just gonna be like, you know, like I feel like there's a particular set of like skills and understanding, especially when it comes to like someone who can actually do well on multiple reality shows, right? Where it's like, I understand, you know, you clearly have no respect for it. You've made that clear. And these people should die, in your opinion. I'm kidding.
That's not what I said at all.
I'm just joking. But like,
wait a second, before you go on, are we talking about the same type of reality show though? Because if you can bounce from Drag Race to Hell's Kitchen to Great Canadian Baking Show, I respect the shit out of you. I'm talking about like the New Yorks of the world, you know? I'm talking about like how The Bachelor works, where like if you're the runner-up in The Bachelor, then you are the next Bachelor. You know,
is that how that works? Actually,
yeah. Like the next Bachelor is decided by who, and Bachelorette for that reason is decided by the runner-up. Mm-hmm. So whoever comes in second place on the previous season of the Bachelor/Bachelorette, they're the next Bachelor/Bachelorette.
That's interesting.
Yeah, you're effectively signing up to potentially be on 2 TV shows should you do well.
Do they ever like? Has anyone on The Bachelor or Bachelorette ever been like of the LGBTQ plus community?
Nope, they have not had an LGBTQ plus
Bachelorette
yet. No.
In like the 20 years
they have
that show
been
is
calling
running?
the show, like they've been calling the network out on that for years now.
Wow.
And it has not happened. Same thing. They had to like scrap tooth and nail to get a black Bachelor. Mm-hmm. You know? And we have to remind them every year. I say it like I watch the show. There has been criticism of the show just for the lack of contestants of color. Mm-hmm. You know? There's like one black girl. There hasn't even been like, I don't even think there's been like an Asian or South Asian or AAPI person on The Bachelor yet that I know of. Right. It's usually the same looking type of white girl.
Right, right.
That's just it. There's not even different flavors of white, you know?
No, you're going to get like a Greek girl.
No.
Yeah. Or an Italian. Like spice it up a little bit.
No, there's lots of Italians.
Oh, is there
There's
really?
plenty of Italian girls. Because they make really good episodes for the episode of the show where like you got to go home and meet everybody's family.
Oh, because it's
like you bring her home to the big Italian family.
You bring her home to like the 60 people she lives with in her house.
Yeah, and see how she makes out.
Totally.
But not a whole lot of like Scandinavian girls going on Bachelor.
No Armenian girls.
Yeah, not a whole lot. Mm-hmm. So diversity is a huge issue in that show in particular, for sure. Yeah. I also wonder about that, like the cultural aspect of going on a reality TV show, and it's just like I wonder if reality TV is so white, partly because people of color just don't mess around like that. Like we universally like just don't do silly shit like that.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, like, there's lots of people of color on Drag Race. Sure, because it's a skill. You look at the community. Like some of the first drag queens were people of color. Right. So there's that, but it's very rooted in like POC culture. Mm-hmm. But like going on The Bachelor, fucking around for 14 weeks. Maybe get a husband, maybe don't. You don't even know him.
That's some white shit.
That's some white shit, you know?
Yeah. Okay, but I have to ask then. I beg the question, like, how many people who go on these shows are genuinely trying to start a relationship? I think 0%.
Not a whole lot of them.
Like, I literally not a single one.
I was on a message board because actually we were going to write a sketch about The Bachelor that hasn't really gone anywhere, but I fell down a Bachelor hole hard.
Yeah, we were writing a different sketch and then you decided to read about The Bachelor for 2 hours.
And I was like, Cameron, you need to let me fall down this hole. You have to let me fall down this hole.
Cool, I'm going to go watch Attack on Titan.
But I wound up on like a message board, or I think it was actually a subreddit, and somebody was like, I am not baiting you to make fun of you. I genuinely want to know, why would you go on The Bachelor? Mm-hmm. If it has such a high failure rate,
like what's the point?
And not like you don't really get a career out of it, and like it costs so much money to go on it, why would you go on? And someone was like, you know, it just sounds like a fun thing to do. It's like an adventure that you get to go on. Mm-hmm. And I was like, adventure? Go backpacking.
Yeah, really.
It's foolish.
There's cheaper vacations.
Yeah, there literally is. That's the other thing I learned about The Bachelor is that the people who sign up to go on The Bachelor are expected to meet a certain standard of appearance, you know, like hairlessness, makeup, all that stuff. But you have to supply all of it. Right. They do all of their own hair, all of their own makeup. They supply all of their own clothing. People have taken out second mortgages on their houses to supply themselves with wardrobes for it.
That's ridiculous.
And the packing list to go on The Bachelor is absolutely insane. You have to pack winter and summer gear because you could go, I don't know, they might take you up in a helicopter and drop you and go snowboarding down a mountain for one of your dates. Wow. So you need ski gear. You have to supply that. They don't give you that.
That is, the more you say about it, the more I'm like, that is some white shit.
Right?
Because you need to be like, minimum, you would need to be like upper middle class.
Hello?
Like minimum. If you're going to go on this show.
To be able to afford to go on this show.
To be able to afford it,
And people do quit their jobs. They leave their careers to go on the show.
Why
to
would you
have
leave your
an
career?
adventure. Just to like have something to say that you did in your life.
I get quitting your career to go on Drag Race. Because if you win or do well, I mean, you could turn that into a drag career. Yeah. Why the fuck would you quit your career to go on The Bachelor?
Also, I think every single person, save for like, you know, Shangela's first appearance where she had only been doing it for like 5 months, drag is at least their side gig.
Right.
Like they moonlight as a drag queen.
It's not a hobby.
You know, like a lot of people have like careers. Like Manila Luzon was like a graphic designer. Sugar Cane had like a whole career in like HR or something like that before she went on Drag Race. Like they had like careers. But then they moonlight as drag queens at night.
Right.
On weekends.
HR by day, drag by night.
And then you have the full-time drag queens who like do it all the time.
Sure.
But yeah, Bachelor and Bachelorette, like why the fuck would you leave your career as like a dental hygienist? And that's what most of them are. They're white dental hygienists who go on Bachelor.
Is that like a thing? Like,
yeah, it's like a weird thing where it's like it's happened often enough that I've seen it in parodies of The Bachelor.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'm Becky and I'm a dental hygienist. I'm 34. I'm Lynette and I'm 34 years old and I'm a dental hygienist. My name's Jessica. I'm 37 and I'm a dental hygienist. Like I've seen it in parodies.
Okay. Now, is that just like a job that makes a lot of money? Like, is that the only reason why they really like you have significant disposable income?
I mean,
so you went on The Bachelor because you could afford it.
In my white town, I did not see a dental hygienist who was not white and had that like high pitched like friendly voice, like that friendly nurse voice, blonde, like blue or brown eyed. I didn't have a dental hygienist who wasn't that until I was like 23 or 24.
Sure.
I didn't see a dental practitioner of color until I was in my 20s.
Right.
I grew up my whole life with like white, I don't want to insult them because they were nice people, but like they all look the same, especially since they wore surgical masks the entire time I saw them. I only saw them from like the nose up, eyes up for the entire time. They all look the same to me. They were like white, blonde or brown hair, kind eyes, either blue or brown, petite, skinny, delicate hands, like tiny hands.
Smelt of mother.
Yeah. They all look the same.
Sure.
So like, yeah, like that's why all the Bachelor and Bachelorette contestants look the same. They're like, I'm Rebecca. I'm a child support worker. I teach kindergarten.
Yeah, really.
They have really matronly jobs. They're kindergarten teachers. They're dental hygienists. They're nurses. They're special ed teachers. Like they're all very matronly, like supportive jobs.
Is that supposed to be like indicative of what they're going to do on the show? Like,
yes.
In terms of like they take care of this man?
Yes.
Wow.
Absolutely.
I don't know how to feel about that.
Welcome to my life.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to reality TV, bruv.
I think, okay, so what do you think is the dumbest reality TV show? Do you think it's The Bachelor or The Bachelorette?
I think, yeah.
I have two.
Seeing as I've done so much research on it, like just the fact that it puts you out. You have to, like at least with Jersey Shore, like they probably just had to show up.
Right, and be entertaining.
I mean, MTV put them in that house.
Exactly. And they're all dramatic ass 20-year-olds.
You definitely had to pack, but you didn't have to. I mean, it was summertime. It was specifically set in summertime. And you didn't have to pack anything that you didn't already look like.
Right.
They probably were like, if you want to, like, we're trying to go for this look, but they didn't cast people who didn't have that look.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they would have cast people who fit the bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think The Bachelor, with all of its, carving and molding and lack of diversity, refusal to include LGBTQ plus contestants, and the fact that people have literally taken out mortgages on their house to be able to afford to go on this show. And I could go off for days about the shit that I learned that you can't do or that you have to do contractually when you go on The Bachelor. It's asinine.
And just the lack of diversity, too. I think that's really shocking.
Yeah, and just the failure rate. The failure rate.
It's literally, statistically speaking, not worth it.
You are not going to find a husband.
Or even get your fucking money's worth out of it.
Yeah.
You're going to spend exorbitant amounts of money to maybe go on 1 or 2 dates before you get eliminated, and now you're back home with 2 mortgages. Congratulations. I hope it was worth it.
In a bunch of gowns you're never going to wear.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, really.
It's not worth it.
Hope that was on rent. Hope you rented that.
Yeah.
I think I have 2. The dumbest reality TV show, in my opinion, is The Circle.
Okay.
Which I believe is the one where you don't see the other person at all.
I never watched it.
It's some fucking Netflix show where
it was popular. It was a fad show.
Yeah, and it was a fad. I think they still make it, but like it's nowhere near as like it was like
yeah.
It's just kind of like
it peaked and then it just sort of plateaued.
I could be totally wrong, but if I'm thinking of the show, I believe that The Circle is the one where like they're all isolated and they speak via like phone calls and like text messages and
like
shit,
non-facial like.
But they're all in this like compound where they're like a wall away through like frosted glass, but they never actually meet each other until like the end. And that was sort of like the experiment.
Okay.
I just think that's ridiculous. I think that's so dumb. I don't get that at all.
What don't you like about it specifically?
Do
you think makes it dumb?
Just it comes off as quite contrived. I think the whole idea is like, oh, like we're going to prove that you can fall in love with someone without knowing what they look like. But all you're doing is just putting people in this like fairy tale scenario where their expectations get heightened. And like, yeah, then you record the disappointment or you record the moment where they decide to love each other anyway. But like, I don't know. It goes back to what we talked about reality TV being real, where it's like that situation you're in, like being trapped in what is essentially a fucking Best Western with like your close friends in a simple or like these strangers rather.
Days in
with strangers surrounding you, all separated by like frosted glass. Like that is so far removed from reality that like, how do you honestly like you're going to get into a honeymoon period with these people you're talking to, and you're going to realize you might not have anything in fucking common.
Yeah.
You have stuff in common with these people because they're in the same situation you're in. So of course these fucking relationships aren't going to work out.
And then as soon as you remove yourself from that situation, you're not going to have that much in common.
Exactly.
You're lonely.
That's the take.
You forced yourself to be lonely, and now you're not so lonely.
It's the most contrived reality TV show that I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
The second one is The Masked Singer.
Oh yeah, The Masked Singer is just so out of this world.
The Masked Singer is an SNL sketch that somehow is real. Because every time I see commercials for it, I'm like, what is this show? There's 5 seasons. Like, what do you do on this show? Like, the host is always like, and it's like, for what? Like, I don't get it. Like, this is so weird.
I love how mad you get about The Masked Singer.
Because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Despite never having seen an episode.
Because I don't want to.
Yeah. I kind of do. I kind of want to check it out.
I mean, you can check it out and let me know.
Just to get the full experience of like what's going on.
I just do not understand. It's literally so a singer comes out and they're in a costume and then they sing and the judges go like, oh, I wonder who that is. Like, who is that? Do you recognize that voice? Who could it be? Yep. And then like, do they guess?
Yeah.
Do they have like guesses?
Yeah.
As to who it is?
Yeah, you have to get. I mean, like, I'm sure there's a guessing system. You get a certain number of guesses, or like you can ask for a hint, call a friend, whatever, ask the audience, blah blah blah. But the judges have to guess who which celebrity is singing.
Are they really judges? You're more contestants at that point.
Yeah.
Like, honestly.
Maybe judges isn't like the right word for it, but whoever's sitting up on the dais has to like decide like who the Masked Singer is.
And then I gotta wonder, like, what's the pull, right? Like, we've watched a couple of celebrity reality TV or versions.
Yeah.
And like, y'all are celebrities, sure, like in that like you've been on stuff.
Yeah.
Bro, this is like B-list.
D-list.
Like total C-list actors who are like,
I had like a 2-season arc on Riverdale.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I was an extra on a CW show. I'm chiseled and beautiful, so now I'm on Celebrity Drag Race. It's like, but
it's like whatever.
What are the pull of these celebrities in this Masked Singer? I saw one that was like Kermit the Frog.
Yeah.
How in God's name are you supposed to guess Kermit the Frog? Does he sound like Kermit when he's singing?
I don't know.
He's come out like.
This is why I want to watch it, Cameron, because I don't know.
Right.
So like maybe it's not as ridiculous as the commercials make them out to be. Because this is the other thing about reality TV is that the commercials always look more dramatic than they actually are.
Oh, totally. Jersey Shore is a fucking.
So like, calm down and watch the show and figure out what all the pomp and circumstance is about. Maybe it's not as severe. Maybe there's a gimmick. Maybe there's that they're hiding in the commercials to make you watch it.
Yeah.
And then you find out that it's not as dramatic as it really is.
Hey, if the MCU is allowed to lie to me in their commercials, then why can't reality TV show?
I mean, like, who do you think the MCU got the idea from?
Because reality TV.
It's just that you can't get mad at the MCU because the MCU is never lying for a second about the fact that this is fictional.
Oh, it's funny, yeah.
You know that it's fictional.
You know what that reminds me of? You never watched Jersey Shore, but in the 3rd season of Jersey Shore, the crew goes to Italy.
Okay.
I think it's the 3rd season anyway.
Yeah.
And the big thing this season was that, like, Mike and Ron are going to get into a fist fight. There's like an altercation. Yeah. They're going to have a fucking fight. Mm-hmm. And there was like every single promo for like the entire season was like Mike freaking out and then Ron being like, let's go. And then like it finally got to that moment. You want to know what happens? Did I ever tell you what happens?
I think you did, but say it for the pod.
Mike the Situation gets in Ron's face and Ron's like, woo, woo, and Mike headbutts a concrete wall and has to go to the hospital. And there's no fight. That's real.
That's where people tell me the Jersey Shore is just stupidity.
Well, yeah, don't get me wrong. Like,
you get all riled up for a fight all season, and it's actually just a complete bonehead smashing his head into a concrete wall and hospitalizing himself.
Well, I gotta wonder, right? Like, do you think that the people on Jersey Shore, like the Snookies, the J-Rows of the world, like, do you think that they are actually that stupid? Or do you think that they are so self-aware that they know how to make good TV?
By season 3, when they go to Italy, they are self-aware and they know how to make good TV.
You think so?
Yes.
But do you think in the first 2 seasons that it was kind of like...
The first season, I think. I think by the second season, especially after a phenomenon like Jersey Shore, where it blows up as much as it did, after you go through something like that, I think you get hip to it very quickly. Mm-hmm. You learn very quickly how to play the game, you know? And like... There's this Hollywood Roundtable that the Hollywood Reporter does. It's a series that I like to watch. And they did one with reality TV stars. They did Kris Jenner, RuPaul.
Oh yeah, you told me about this. It's cool.
The producer who's worked on, she's worked on Jersey Shore, and she also did a couple of other reality, like Rachel Ray, like cooking shows and stuff like that. And she, Leah Remini, who did her like Scientology show. And the producer who worked on Jersey Shore has she claims, at least in the show, in the episode, that she gives all of her cast her personal phone number, her personal cell phone number, and she's like, I've gotten that call in the middle of the night, like, hey, I'm in jail, like,
wow,
it's midnight and I'm in jail. I need you to come pick me up. I need you to bail me out. And like, she's like, Snooki has my phone number and has like called me with like ideas for reality shows before.
Wow.
So you get hip to it and you make friends and create relationships with the people who work on these shows, and you learn how to be on TV. That's why I say it's predatory at first, at least, because these people don't know how to be on TV. You get that, like, you get a microphone put in front of your face, and all of a sudden that emotion comes over you, and you're like, holy shit, there's a microphone in front of my face. I'm on TV. I'm on the internet. And then you act fucking weird. And then you figure it out.
Right.
And, you know, people you're watching, maybe it's like the 13th season, but it's that person, that specific individual's first time being on TV. They don't know how to be on TV.
Right.
So you're getting this like weird personality.
So would you say then that it's like predatory at first, and then if you know what you're doing, it becomes symbiotic?
If you're fortunate enough to be able to be on TV again at some point, like the Jersey Shore kids were, you learn.
And then you turn into a career.
Yeah.
I mean, like...
Or like Drag Race, where enough people have spoken out about their experiences. People like Willem, people like Jeremy, nay, Fifi O'Hara, have spoken out about their negative experiences, and people have spoken out about their positive experiences. There was a producer of Drag Race who passed away, and there was a memorial for her in one of the reunions, and they were talking about how well she handled their emotions and how much they appreciated it. And you can tell some people just... They form better bonds with people.
Yeah.
The people who make these shows, and therefore they get cast in a better light.
Well, that's why
they learned.
That's why, like, that's why I kind of like try to like hold your feet to the fire a little bit when we were talking about like the predatory relationship of reality shows, because it's like there are hundreds of people who work on reality shows, right? And to think that they're all predatory, to think that every single one of them is like out to like embarrass you or like get you to get a villain cut, like I think that's a little disingenuous,
right?
Like, you know, like, I think that there are people who genuinely just want to create good TV and want you to be a part of what makes it great.
Yes.
As opposed to, like, oh, I'm going to Fifi O'Hara you, and, like, you're going to say, I'm going to goad you into saying a bunch of crazy shit on camera, and then use all that crazy shit against you.
I mean, it's still up for debate whether Fifi O'Hara got Fifi O'Hara'd. Because... in that same Hollywood Reporter interview, RuPaul didn't call out Fifi O'Hara by name, but the Jersey Shore producer was talking about like how people have come to her and complained, oh, you edited me in a bad light. And she's like, why don't I show you the raw footage of what I had to work with, and I will show you how I actually put you in the best light that I possibly could with what you gave me. And she's like, I have gone and like shown people the rough cuts before, and they're like, oh yeah. And RuPaul was like he got really animated and like really agreed with it and was like, that's totally it. Like, I've had girls come to me and say, oh, you put me in a bad light. And he was like, that shit that you saw on TV, that was inside you.
Yeah.
Like that. And you have to contend with that.
Was it,
it's like, there's that argument where it's like, are you being edited in a bad light, or did they put you in the best light that they could possibly put you in?
Yeah.
I don't know, because I don't have access to that raw footage, but I would be curious to see.
Well, RuPaul is that she actually fell into a lot of trouble for this, but she has a famous quote where it's like, "Bitch, you said it. Whether or not that you like agree with how you're portrayed, you understand that like that's your voice coming out of your mouth, right?"
Yeah,
like,
and this is where it gets gross, because it's like, yeah, you said it, but I also poked you to say it.
Well, who knows the circumstances?
I pissed you. Did I piss you off enough for you to say it? Some people on reality TV show, I think, got poked.
Prodded and shit.
And
yeah,
other
for sure.
people, I think it was inside of them.
Sure.
I think there's an argument for both. And if I was really given access to like every single inch of footage and every single person was like 100% truthful with me, we could probably find that some people were good people who were just poked enough.
Yeah.
And some people were jerks deep down inside of it, and like having a camera put in front of their face just brought it out of them.
That's fair.
Yeah.
We get a lot of people, like look at for those who don't know at home, a famous Drag Race contestant. Her name is Valentina. She is a crazy person.
in our opinion.
In our opinions.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's lovely in real life. She has such a positive relationship with so many drag queens.
Yes.
So there's no way she's like this in real life. Regardless, the reason why I think Valentina is off her rocker is because she lives in what she calls her
fantasy.
Her cappuccino fantasy?
French vanilla fantasy.
French vanilla fantasy, thank you. Where she lives in complete delusion.
Yeah.
And is open about it.
Yeah.
But it's also reality TV.
Like when she got kicked off of All Stars, spoiler alert, she was like, it doesn't fit in with my fantasy. Like losing doesn't fit in with my fantasy.
Yeah, then be better. But I will say the real life thing that I hold Valentina's feet to the fire with is that after her season, not the All-Star season, but the RuPaul's Drag Race original season, after she had lost, spoiler alert, and she had left the show, leagues and leagues and legions of her fans came to like assault the other queens on Twitter and shit.
Yeah.
And she didn't say fuck all about it.
Yeah. And she got called out on it.
And some queens
got
actually
caught in a lie.
interpreted a lot of her tweets as encouragement.
Yeah.
To like go out and do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's like, fuck that.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like,
I think one queen said that you sicked your fans on me.
Yeah.
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 Which is messed up.
And she compared herself to Selena. And I was like,
Bitch.
okay.
She said, my fans see me as like the drag version of Selena. And I was like,
okay. You also didn't win the show, so let's not get out of here. But who are we? We're a couple of fucking bumps on logs talking about people who are professionals.
I certainly can't do drag. And Valentina is gorgeous.
She is gorgeous.
She has that going for her.
All right, Sam. Big question.
Yeah.
Final question of the podcast.
Yeah.
If you can make a reality TV show, what would it be about?
I would love to make a reality TV show about... my favorite reality TV shows are the ones like a Drag Race that takes a skill that is undermined and puts it in the best light.
Yeah.
So like as I've been getting into roller skating, like that was the first thing that I thought about, was like take all the different roller skaters and make a reality show about that. Bring that culture to light. I would love to make a reality show that positively tells the story of like amateur actors and their struggle, like show what we go through as we try and make our own content, get gigs to be a part of other people's content, deal with rejection,
right?
Deal with writer's block, deal with money issues. I'd love to make a reality show about that. Yeah, those are the two answers that come first to my mind. So like roller skating or acting. Yeah. Now, I'll say my ideas, then we can maybe extrapolate a little bit on how the actual show would go. Okay. I would love to have my two big ideas, much like yours, which are based on your career and interests and whatnot. I would love to see a reality show based around illustration, if it doesn't already exist. Okay. The idea of like, you are a digital, traditional 3D modeler, a fucking sculptor or whatever, and you come to this show to prove that you're one of the best in the country in what you do. And it's all about adhering to challenges. Like, I don't know exactly what it would be, like a character design challenge. Or like a villain design challenge. Yeah. And you have to use your medium. Yeah. And then there'd be restrictions where it's like, okay, you're a 3D modeler, you've done the 3D modeling thing. Yeah. Why don't you show me the upper extension of 3D model? Like make a 3D model, because they do this nowadays with something called shaders. Like show me a 3D model that looks like a 2D drawing. Like, can you do that?
you know, the logistics would be fuzzy because like you can't give visual artists like 8 hours to do something and have it be perfect because like that's a lot of time. And
some of those Drag Race challenges, I'm like, how are you supposed to come up with a fully conceptualized soup can without or with less than 24 hours?
Sure.
You know, like that's like the time crunch is part of the challenge.
Yeah.
You know,
and there would be challenges based around like speed drawing or like, you know, draw this in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, like there's tons of art challenges on like TikTok or Instagram or Twitter where it's like take those, morph them into a long series based about illustration and reality TV show. And the winner gets, I don't know, $100,000 and a lifetime of art supplies.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good idea.
I mean, it probably exists. I imagine it probably exists.
But see, I could see like you take the sort of like essence of like what Drag Race does, where they take these queens who are good at one type of drag. You know, you got your look queens, you got your comedy queens, you've got your actor queens, your character queens, blah blah blah, your impersonators, and then you make them do different types of drag. You know, like the impersonator queens aren't necessarily good at the branding challenges because their brand is whoever they've been impersonating for their entire career. The comedy queens aren't necessarily good at fashion challenges and designing challenges because they do comedy. They're more concerned with comedy than like makeup and wigs. You could take, you know, someone who has worked in 3D animation for their entire career and bring in Rebecca Sugar and give them like a 2D challenge based on, you know, the inspiration of like Rebecca Sugar.
Maybe you're a shonen mangaka.
Yeah.
And you have to write and design a shoujo character.
Ooh, and then they have to deal with like the cultural the cultural differences and how, you know, animators work and how they have to like, you know, respect certain people ahead of them and stuff like that, you know?
Actually, you know what?
That sort of deal.
Instead of a lifetime of art supplies, I think it'd be like, you get like, I don't know, a lump sum of like $50,000, but you also get to create your own graphic novel.
No, I think I think that art supplies is a good, because like think about it, like Drag Race, they get a year's supply of Anastasia Beverly Hills Cosmetics. Right? So give them art supplies.
But if you're a digital artist, you don't need art supplies.
That's true.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
but everybody sketches.
Yeah, but at the same time, like if you're a digital artist, like you'd probably want like a really nice Wacom or something,
right? Or
like I don't know, some other tablet or whatever,
yeah,
right? An iPad Pro, yeah. Which is why I think like something tangible, like a graphic novel.
Maybe
like
give them a bunch of it.
You get to make your own graphic novel with your own characters, your own series. Maybe put some of the designs you made on the show,
yeah.
You know, like and turn it into something that you can sell. It's in your name, you own it,
yeah.
Like a little off topic, but you know, you ever heard of Image Comics?
Of course, they make Spawn. It's one of my favorites.
So what's really cool about Image Comics...
Paper Girls is good too.
Paper Girls is really good. What's really cool about Image Comics is that they don't own the IPs they publish.
Okay.
The authors and creators own the IPs that they publish.
Oh, that's really good.
Right? Isn't that cool?
God, the more I find Image Comics stuff, the more I like them better than like Marvel or DC.
Image. I have a really good friend of mine who we love comic books and graphic novels. All my friends do, but we all agree that Image is the one like really pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
And like trying out on taking a chance on new creators and like giving
new concepts.
Yeah, new concepts and like letting people tell stories that can only be told in the medium of graphic novels.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool. So then what I would probably do then, if the prize is to get a graphic novel, then you need to get artists who would be interested in making a graphic novel. So like I wouldn't necessarily, well maybe you do, but like I wouldn't necessarily go for like animators because like animators want to make an animation.
But see, that's just it. Like, I feel like, maybe this is difficult. Because I feel like giving them the opportunity to make a short series. You know how, like, UK drag queens, the winner gets to make a web series with World of Wonder? Mm-hmm. I feel like, you know, the winners of your show would get to make a web series, like an animated web series. But it could be anything, you know. They could, if like a stop motion animator wins, then they make a stop motion series. If a 2D animator wins, 2D cartoon, you know, so on and so forth.
The only thing with that is that like, and this is just logistical at this point, where it's like animation is very time consuming and very expensive. Mm-hmm. And like, it might be, there's less like financial investment from like, I think about like the production studio. Mm-hmm. Like, if you won, okay, you won and you're a 2D animator, so like let's get to work on your 2D animation series. Like that might cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then like not make a return on it.
I mean, if money is no object, I could see like a spin-off, like sort of like sister shows, where one is about
like
illustrators,
comic books, graphic novels.
One is about illustrators, where you get a graphic novel and a bunch of art supplies, like fucking like pencils and pencil crayons and markers, whatever the fuck. And then the other is animator, is the sister show, where they get, and this would be the expensive one, but you get a Wacom tablet or an iPad, and then you get like a TV show, like a animated series out of it, right? You know,
that's a good idea.
Yeah. And they're like sister shows, and then people could get obsessed with both and like compare them, and that would make a really good fandom too.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go. Well, one day after...
I'm starting to think I would be a much better producer, director than actor. The more that I like come up with ideas, the more I'm like...
Well, especially because we say them all in this podcast for free, ripe for stealing.
Yeah.
But hey, one day maybe when I'm a famous illustrator, I'll make this reality TV show. Because I would love to...
You could be the RuPaul of animators.
I'd love to uplift this field, you know, and really shine a light on like... animators and especially illustrators. Be like so many people, especially when in the medium of comic books, would point to an author. Like Brian Michael Bendis is a famous author of comic books. He's actually the creator of Miles Morales, as you know.
Yeah.
But everyone else at the home might not.
Yeah.
And that's really great and all. But who's the other half who made Miles Morales look the way he does? Writing a character is one thing.
Right.
Illustrating them is another.
Totally.
And they're totally
separate job.
Totally separate job. Two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
That character would not exist without the illustration.
Yeah.
But it also wouldn't exist without the writing behind it.
The illustration, like the character wouldn't look and pose the way that they do if the writer wasn't, you know, feeding the personality into the subject.
And there's so many different levels and so many different positions, especially in animation, that I feel like all those people deserve to be highlighted. In my opinion, everyone who's ever worked on an animated TV show deserves to be a fucking celebrity.
And like, if you think about it, this is a you pick such a good one, because the world of animation and illustration is a field that is widely consumed, but insofar as how much work it takes to do it is underappreciated. I agree. In our eyes, personally. It's
underpaid, it's such a problem.
Yeah. I feel like drag was similar before Drag Race. Like, you couldn't make the kind of living that a lot of drag queens are making now, even if you've never been on Drag Race before. Because of Drag Race's impact, people understand that you have to pay drag queens more for stuff. Yeah. At least good people do. I mean, everybody will try to rip you off no matter what industry you're a part of.
Definitely.
But it uplifted the occupation of drag to a point where, you know, nowadays, if we had a kid and our kid was like, I want to be a drag queen, I'd be like, it's a hard life, but you can definitely make a living for it.
You're going to be a voice actor like your father.
But, you know, you get a lot of drag queens who, like, you know, decades ago, they started getting into it and their parents were like, I don't know how the fuck you're going to make a living out of this. But Drag Race really showed that you can make a living in multiple different ways doing drag. And that your animated show would show that A, you can make a living in illustration and animation, and it's worthwhile, and it's entertaining, and therefore you should pay people more for it.
100%.
You know, you could change the economy of animation.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, you could change the living wages of animators that way.
Well, you know what? I'd have to earn my salt first.
Yeah.
But there you go. That's something maybe I could work towards 20 fucking years from now.
Yeah.
Be like RuPaul in my 60s. Be like, hey, I've made a bunch of comic books and animated TV shows, and now I'm going to make a reality TV show.
RuPaul was an established supermodel of the world by the time he started Drag Race. Like, he was an icon when he started Drag Race. That first season of Drag Race still had to take place in the back of a fucking Wendy's. And they had to take challenges to a fucking parking lot.
Yeah.
And they had to smear Vaseline on their lenses just to try and make it look dazzling. And they were giving people fucking gift cards to a hamburger joint.
Yeah, really.
Okay? And he was Ru fucking Paul.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Some dude like opens up the back set door, like, oh, I thought this was the fridge, and just closes it.
Yeah. Literally.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, no,
gotta start somewhere.
You gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
100%.
My other idea would be esports related.
That's cool.
Because I think of the idea of like, I've told you about this before, but this is a great organization called Games Done Quick. They do speedrunning for charity and all of that. I would love to take the stuff, like isolate certain things, like complete this level of Mario 64 in like as fast as you can, and whoever gets the best score wins the challenge. Complete you know, like basically of that ilk, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like devise challenges in video games designed to run difficult speedrunning challenges. Like another Mario example, I don't know, would be like, make this insane jump in Mario Odyssey. Do you know how to do it? Like maybe you can show someone like how they did it, but then like just because you show someone how to do it doesn't mean they can turn around and do it.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
And I think that would be interesting. But that would be definitely be more of a niche fucking market.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I mean, like, if you did not necessarily speed running, but like esports, like Overwatch and unfortunately Dota, would World of Warcraft work? Like raids and stuff?
There's PvP in World of Warcraft.
Yeah, so stuff like that. That could be interesting because I've seen a couple of documentaries actually about the world of esports.
Oh, esports is amazing.
And like professional esports players, and it's really fascinating. And I think there's a lot there.
And
it's
esports
just not being appreciated right now.
Exactly, esports, much like illustrators, have a field full of colored personalities.
Yes.
Of just like crazy fucking people who would do great in a reality TV show environment.
Yeah.
Like it would make good TV.
Oh, you're right.
You know?
You're so right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But those are my ideas for
Those
reality
are
TV.
Really good ideas.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad you thought so. I didn't know. I just kind of made it up.
Yeah. Where can people find this podcast? Let's wrap this shit up.
Cool, let's go home. You can find the Chill Spot podcast on YouTube every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Every Tuesday, generally throughout the day, on Spotify, Google Play, or Google Podcasts rather, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and everywhere else you find podcasts. Pretty much every service under the sun, save for maybe like Tidal or SoundCloud, or we're not on those things.
No.
We also do Twitch streams. You can follow us at twitch.tv/chillspot, where we stream 3 times a week, 2 evenings on Wednesdays and Fridays, and 1 morning on Sundays, where it's just me. Where I do classic games. Sam goes home and works on her career, and I sit in my basement and drink coffee and talk about how great this game is, and then 30 minutes later get really angry at it.
And advance our Chill Spot brand in doing so.
I try anyway.
Yeah.
But yes, folks, thank you so much for listening to the Chill Spot podcast. It has been a good one, and we'll see y'all next week.
Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.
Share with your friends, please. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.